Good morning, students. Good morning to all. And last day we have studied about the international business, and in that chapter we have studied about the disadvantages of the international business and the comparison between the domestic business and the international business. So today, just we will go to the next concept. Today, just we will go to the next unit and the chapter 29. The name is Elements of Contract. So first we have to know about the contract, and before knowing about the contract we have to know about the laws, because all type of the contract is formulated on the basis of Companies Act or the constitutions or any of the laws made by the government. So law means a set of rules which governs our behavior and relating in a civilized society. So, in our civilized societies, many of the peoples are living and they are interdepending with each others. And all of them are conducting or undertaking many of the business or industries or even some of the contractual relationship. So there is no need of law in a uncivilized societies. If any of them are living within the civilized societies, all the peoples will be in need of having the law made by the government. So one should know the law, because if any of them are not knowing about the laws and if they are doing some of the problems, it is not forgivable. So generally, life in a civilized society is regulated by a welfare state, because all the welfare facilities is provided by the government itself. The existence and the growth of civilized society requires the place, harmony, justice, social securities, and order, which is possible only through the laws. Just you think yourself, if there is no law and order and the government and the police, what will happen? So there is no moral activities and there is no rules and regulations and there is no prohibitions. So without these all things, no people can live with a harmonious and peaceful way. So every country has a regulatory framework comprised by a plethora of laws such as constitutional law, civil laws, criminal laws, tax laws, labor laws, business laws, etc. So every law has the particular field of activity to regulate and govern. So next, if you are considering the Indian Contracts Act, so this act occupies the most important place in the commercial laws. So without Contract Act, it would have been difficult to carry on trade or any other business activity. So if you want to come to the contract with one or two more peoples on industries or made the investment on any of the particular industries, some of the law is very much important. So it is not only the business community which is concerned with the Contract Act, but also it influences the entire societies. So all the peoples living in the entire societies also will be in need of having some of the laws or underlying the peoples have to live in the law. Then only they will can occupy or they will have the opportunity to getting their rights from the other peoples. The Indian Contract Act is so much infused in the daily lives that it affects all. For every purchase that one does, or a loan taken from a bank, or a ride on a taken in a bus. So in our daily lives, all the peoples are involving in a contract. So there are two parts of Indian Contract Act, namely general contract and the special contract. So contract is an agreement enforceable by law. If any of the agreement among the two or more peoples and the agreement is come to a effect and it is enforceable by law, that is considered as a contract. The agreement not enforceable by law are not contract. So if any of the agreement is come to exist or come to the effect in our life with the help of the law only is considered as a agreement. So as per the Indian Contract Act 1872, a contract is an agreement enforceable by law. An agreement means a promise or a set of promises forming consideration for each other. Normally, in our daily life, if any of the two peoples are making the agreement without knowing themselves, so normally we are going to the bus for one place to another one of the places, and we are being in the situations of receiving or purchasing or buy the ticket. And according to that, the conductor or the ticketers also will providing the ticket. And simply if you are taking the school activities, so on the basis of the agreement only, so students also come to the schools and the teachers also joined in a job and they are going to teach and learn. So in our daily lives, without knowing ourselves, we are come to the contract. So by implication, an agreement is an accepted proposal. A promise arises when a proposal is accepted. Suppose if the two peoples are coming to the agreement, one of the people at first they will propose for doing some things, and the next one, if they are accepting their first one's proposal, then we can say the two peoples are coming to the agreement. So in other words, if you want to say the meaning of the contract, an agreement consists of an offer and its acceptance. So agreement is equal to the proposal plus acceptance. If any of the persons are accepting one's other proposals, it is considered as agreement. So next one, contract is equal to agreement plus enforceability by law. If any of the agreement is enforced by the law, it is considered as a contract. Next, we have to know some of the important concepts. So in this contract, some of the important concepts are there. First one is that important concepts are, first one is offer or proposals. So normally we can say this is the proposals. When one person signifies to another his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything with a view to obtaining the assent of that other persons either to such as act or abstinence, he is said to make a proposal. For example, if you are taking the two persons A and B, at first if the A is proposing for doing some things and the B is also is accepting, that is called offer. Next, acceptance. So when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. Next, agreement. The every promise and set of promises forming consideration for each other is an agreement. In short, agreement is equal to offer plus acceptance, as we have told already. Next, considerations. So when at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other persons has done or abstained from doing something, or does or abstains from doing something or promises. Next, contract. An agreement enforceable by law is a contract. So after made the agreement by both of A and B, that agreement is come to the effect with the enforceable by law is a contract. Next, essential of a valid contract. If we made any of the valid contract, what are the things are essentials? Means some of the concept or some of the things are considered to be the essential things. First one is offer and acceptance. There must be two parties to an agreement, namely one party making the offer and the other party accepting it. So if you want to make agreement, so the two party is very much important. One party has to giving the proposals and the next one party have to accept that proposals. So the two parties important to receiving or accepting the proposals. Next, legal relationship. The two parties must have the intention to create a legal relationship between them. An agreement of social or domestic nature is not at all contract. So if any of the two parties want to make an agreement, the legal relationship have to arranged. By the intention only, the two parties have to come to an agreement. The agreement of social or domestic nature is not at all a contract. Next, lawful considerations. The lawful considerations. Lawful considerations mean the quid pro quo is one of the braces or one of the French or Latin word. So some of the regain have to being with two persons. As per the Contract Act and the second 2, the consideration means something in written in form of such a way. So the form may be the money or the properties or cash or kind or any of the form. So a contract without consideration becomes invalid. So it may be in cash or kind or in any form as specified in the act. The consideration must be unlawful, immoral, or opposed to the public policy. Next, lawful object. Next, the lawful object. So the object of agreement should be lawful and legal. So when we are come to an agreement, the many chances are there between the lawful and the illegal activities. So the object of the two parties must be having the lawful considerations. So it must not be immoral and illegal or opposed to public policies. So if they are coming to make the trade by selling the illegal activities or illegal commodities, it is considered as a unlawful object. So the two persons cannot enter into an agreement to do a criminal act. So if they have some of the object or objectives, the objectives must be have the lawful objective. Next, free consent. Free consent means the autonomous decisions. So when the two parties come to an agreement, the two parties also have to take the autonomous decisions. The decisions should not made by the unforceable and the criminal ways, and it is the influence of the influenced persons and the fraud and misrepresentations. The consent of the parties must be free and genuine. The consent means agreeing upon the same thing in the same sense at the same time. The two persons also have to take the decision in front of each others with the good mental health and the same time also. So there should be consensus. Add items. Consent is said to be free when it is not caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, and misrepresentations or mistake. Next, capacity of parties. The parties to a contract must have capacity to make valid contract. The Indian Contract Act specifies that every person is competent in contract provided by one of the person of the age majority according to the law which he is subjected to. So a person must be fulfilled the 18 years old. So after completing the 18 years only, so one man can have the possibilities or the ability to make the sign in any of the agreement. Next, who is of sound mind? So all the persons or the two persons must be have the full or the proper mindset. If any of the persons are being in lunacy or in insolvency, it is not considered as a places or not a places. It is not considered as a good man. Next, the certainty of terms. The agreement should be clear to the parties of the agreement. The agreement must be precise as very clearly. For example, for if you are taking the two types of the peoples, the A informs B that the A is agreed to sell the car to the B, and if the same time the A has the four cars, but in here the A must be cleared about in these forms about their four cars or in which car he is going to sell to the B. So if he is not mentioned as very clearly, the certainty of terms is considered as not very clear. Next, possibility of performance. The terms of agreement should be capable of performance. So if you are come to an agreement, the agreement must be fulfilled by the two persons. An agreement to do an act impossible in itself cannot be enforced. For example, A and B. For example, A and B. The in A agrees to B to discover a new planet. But we know it is not impossible. Sorry, not possible. So the agreement is void because the act is itself is impossible to be performed from the very beginning itself. So we can avoid the contract. Next, not declared void. So the agreement should be such that it should be capable of being enforceable by law. Certain agreements have been expressly declared illegal or void by the law. Suppose if the contract or if any of the agreement is coming to know that or which is not voidable or not able to performance mean, so it is considered as not declared. Next, necessary legal formalities. A contract may be oral or in writing. So, where a particular type of contract is required by law to be in writing and registered, it must comply with the necessary formalities as to writing, regulations, and attendances. For example, a promise to pay a time bad debt must be in writing. So, the time of repay the money is must be mentioned in the agreement. Next, classification of contract. The contract may be classified on the basis of validity, on the basis of essential, or on the basis of performance. First, if you are considering on the basis of the validity, the contract is classified or four types or five types. First one is valid contract, an agreement which fulfills all the essential prescribed by the law on basis of its creations. For example, A offers to sell his car for 2 lakhs to B. The B also agrees to buy it. It is a valid contract because the two persons also can able to fulfill their agreement. So that agreement is considered as a valid contract. Next, void contract. A contract which ceases to be enforceable by law. A contract which does not satisfy any of the essential element of a valid contract is said to be void. For example, a contract between drug dealers to buy and sell drugs is a void contract. So any of the contract which has the illegal activities, everything is considered as a void contract. Next, voidable contract. So voidable contract means it's able to void contract. An agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties, but not at the options of the other or other is voidable contract. This is the result of coercion, undue influence, fraud, and misrepresentations. Next, illegal contract. It is a contract which is forbidden by law. all illegal agreements are void, but all void agreements or contracts are not necessarily illegal. Next, unenforceable contract. Where a contract is unenforceable because of some technical defect, absence in writing, bad by imitations, etc. If the parties perform the contract, it will be valid, but the court will not compel them if they do not. Suppose if any of the letters or emblems and the signs are not mentioned as very clearly, it is not able to forced by the law. So it is called enforceable by the contract. Next, on the basis of the formations, how can we classify the contract mean? First one is express contract. A contract made by word spoken or written according to section 9 insofar as the proposal or acceptance of any promise is made in words, the promise is said to be express. Next, implied contract. The implied contract is one contract which is not expressly written but understood by the conduct of two parties. Next, coherent. So it is not a contract, it is a contract created by law. A person shall not be allowed to enrich himself unjustly at the expenses of the others. Next, the tacit contract. A contract is said to be the tacit when it has to be inferred from the conduct of the parties. For example, obtaining cash through automatic teller machines, sale by fall of hammer of an auction sales. Next, on the basis of performance. On the basis of performance, how can we classify the contract? First one is executed contract. A contract in which both the parties have fulfilled their obligations under the contract. For example, A contracts to buy a car from B by paying cash. Then B also instantly delivers his car. So two parties also may be executed already. Next, executory contract. A contract in which both the parties are yet to fulfill their obligations. It is said to be an executory contract. But in futures, both of them may be able to make the contract. Next, unilateral contract. A unilateral contract is one-sided contract in which only one party has performed his promises or obligations. Next, bilateral contract. A contract in which both the parties commit to perform their respective promises is called a bilateral contract. Okay, students, I think it's enough. If you have any doubt, please ask me. And after that, we can explain very clearly after over the class. Thank you.